Um, for the first one, the most important one is developing the sanitation function model. So to actually develop indicators for the World Health Organization, right now they use a level of technology to assess a country's progress for sanitation. So I'm developing the function model to determine the function of sanitation. So your progress in sanitation depends on how much you fulfill these functions. So it's sort of a functional index. Then you can say about the progress. So that's my big main contribution. Other contributions include just trying to identify the various functions that are missing in the existing systems in where I'm studying, which is in Kailicha, an informal mix of informal and developed area in Cape Town, South Africa. And then the last one is actually to put into perspective how this sanitation function model can be applied globally. It can be modified in any way, but it just gives a head start for practitioners to rethink what their definition of progress actually is. Okay. So it's to identify the problems, the functions that are missing, to develop the function itself as an indicator for the World Health Organization, and also to produce the model that can be applicable globally. That people are the most difficult aspect of the whole sanitation revolution, and people tend to avoid it. And I have understood why. I've grown up with it. I was born in an informal settlement myself, so I've experienced a lot of things. But to me, it was a normal experience, because until you can compare yourself to something someone thinks is better, what you have is the best. So there was public toilet, there was open defecation, but sometimes we go to open defecation because that is in a social context, that is the opportunity for you to interact with your friends. And we spend much more time there than when you go to a public toilet, which you even need to pay to use. And South Africa has a free basic sanitation policy, which means most people below a certain income level don't pay to use the facilities. They don't pay to even construct the facility. So the government supplies the facility, supplies even the materials for cleaning, and then they only get to use it. So it's a different world over there. So the whole interaction, getting comfortable with walking around toilets, it's an interesting experience, and it's kind of changed a lot of things about how I perceive what you define as clean and not clean, and people's behavior in different contexts. So when people are presenting their works, various technologies, I sort of see through, this is what needs to be changed. This is how this can work in this context and will not work in that context.
And you do tell other people what you think, huh?
Yes. Actually, I've had this conversation many times. It started from the books that I read. We start reading books that is clearly written on top toilet. So then a lot of students, especially university, keep asking, why are you reading about toilets? I'm like, well, this is what I do. I said, you are weird. We don't understand that. But because such people have it in the university, in your residence, it's there. So you don't really consider it. But then when you begin to read about it, when you begin to explain to other people that the toilet bowl and how it connects to the sewer system, the art behind it, the person who designed it was taking of a female form and a male form meeting. That's how the water closet was created. So it's all these things inform the way people design things for other people. So if people have certain perceptions, that informs their design, which means they are not meeting the other person's needs. So for you to successfully meet another person's need, you have to anticipate what the person needs. It's just like the explanation that there are more mobile phone users in India than there are toilets, and people don't understand why. It's very simple. People prioritize communication needs because we need to communicate. Secondly, people find prestige in owning a mobile phone, not necessarily using it, but to own a mobile phone, and people want information to know what is happening. So that is why someone will prioritize a phone over a toilet, because a toilet, it is only when you are pressed and you need it, which you can easily go around the bush and do your stuff and come back. In the development of the model, at this moment, it's still a bit complex. There's a whole lot of things to consider to actually finish developing it. And I'm thinking by the time I am done, even its applicability, it needs to be researched further in different contexts. For example, South Africa, in their context, is free basic sanitation. So it changes the model a lot, drastically. So what about those other contexts where people actually pay for their service or have to build their own toilet? How do you actually measure those? So I have to work further on the indicators. So I see myself going further to research on this in different countries, or actually following up with the ablution model that I'm testing with. I've already started collaborating with a university in London, University College London. There's a professor there in architecture department who I'm working with, and some other students in architecture department, University of Cape Town, and all these networks of people that we've worked with in the group. So the opportunity is to use this model to assist all these people, so that in 5 years, 10 years time, you've implemented your system, and then after 1 year it breaks down. That shouldn't happen. So we used the idea is to go ahead with the necessary support here and there to see if we can actually apply this model to making all these technologies that have been developed sustainable.